Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Showtimes, the podcast that talks about movies and TV shows and what have you. And today, we have something very special. Jared's back once again.
Hey, guys.
Possibly because I think you broke into my house and you drugged me. And I woke up on the couch and you were saying, guess what? We're watching the television event of the year. And
Part one of the television
event of the year. And I was like, how'd you get in my house, Jared? And it's like, don't think about it.
Actually, I knocked on the door and you answered.
I don't remember any of this. Matter of fact, I think you came in my house, you put your gun in my face and said, sit your ass down, white boy. We're watching Superman and Batgirl and shit. And that's how that happened.
Batwoman.
Yeah. My apologies. My apologies. So, Jared had me watch episode 1 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And
yes.
I have not kept up with any of the CW
No, you haven't, because you had questions.
I had a few. So, last time I watched anything of that was season 2 of The Flash,
You were
I think?
like 6 years behind, my friend. Or, well, like 4 years behind.
Yes, I am. That I stopped watching and I never looked back. And from what I saw, I shouldn't have looked back.
So, have you watched any of the show, like, past? So, there's Arrow's up to season 8. The Flash is on 6. Supergirl's on
I've not.
5.
I watched the first episode of Supergirl and I was like, this is fine. And I never watched any more of it. And then I saw the amazing special effects in their one of their later seasons where they all tried to fight. I can't put enough quotation marks around that. John Jones, I'm assuming.
John Jones was season 1.
Was he season 1?
Yeah, that's back when they were using CBS money. Before it moved to the CW. John Jones was season 1.
I don't know who they were fighting then, but it looked bad. Like, it just...
See, the CBS year we don't talk about. Literally, the show doesn't talk about it. Like, characters just disappeared. We haven't talked about it. Maxwell Lord never showed back up. We just do not talk about it.
That's a damn shame, because Maxwell Lord was...
He was
a character.
He was a good character for the show, but he just haven't showed back up.
Yeah, damn shame we couldn't say that about the books.
Which, I mean...
That might be the longest silence I've ever had out of you.
There's so many different... Maxwell Lord has done so much in the books. Like, it's just... He's been a good guy. He's been a bad guy.
Specifically to his heel turn, just kind of really out of nowhere. It really kind of sullied the character.
I mean, they're writers. That's all you can really...
Yeah, that's all we can really say. But you said, Sean, you're going to watch this. And because I want to talk about this, I guess. So you've hijacked my podcast.
Well, I mean, we could start off with all the trailers we watched first, if you want to do that.
Do you want to talk about other movies?
I mean, do you want to just...
Do you want to talk about things with a budget?
Do you want to get Crisis out of the way, or do you want to wait and save it till the end?
Let's go ahead and get Crisis out of the way.
Okay. So...
We'll be back next week with episode 2, so don't worry.
This is, 2 and 3 are happening this week, and then it's actually a month skip until you get the final 2 parts.
Okay, well, we'll be back with episodes 2 and 3 next week, and maybe next month for other stuff. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so Crisis on Infinite Earths, it follows somewhat of the book.
So the book was a big deal.
It is a big deal. I should say.
Not anymore, because there's been so many events to undo it, which
is damn sad, because it's
DC.
It's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Wonderful artwork, wonderful story.
It is. I recently went back and reread it.
You went back and reread it because you were watching this and I wasn't, so I was like, I'll hold off on it. Yeah. I've got a copy I need to.
Yeah. But it's definitely it did a lot. You lost a lot of characters.
Yes.
You lost, which eventually got brought back, but this book is what set off and kept the Flash and Supergirl dead for 30 plus years. These versions of the characters.
These versions, yes, because Supergirl did come back in the 90s as Matrix, but that's another story.
She was like from a parallel Earth. There's was a lot of, and then she wasn't really Supergirl, and like Supergirl's soul merged. It was very, very
what is hard
confusing.
what is hard to keep up with this? Supergirl's soul merged with an Earthborn angel and became a new being entirely. What is weird about that, Jared?
But then somehow a new version of Supergirl lands in a pod, and it is Supergirl. So.
Exactly.
You're
wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt and you want to talk about confusing.
You have an X-Men shirt on.
Exactly. We're no strangers to confusion.
But it also is a comic that kept Barry Allen dead for a while.
Yes.
And it actually... when I was growing up, Wally West was my Flash.
Yes, he was the Flash for a lot of people.
Wally West, because he was also the Justice League Flash,
yes.
Which I grew up with Wally West Flash. I was not introduced to Barry Allen until much later on because I was too young. The only Barry Allen Flash thing that really came out was the TV show.
Right.
And I was too young like that happened when I was like 1.
Well, he came, correct me if I'm wrong, but he came back in the comics in Final Crisis. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, that was what brought him back and kicked off a whole bunch of crap.
Confusion.
Yeah, we're not talking
that's
about.
when they did the whole Flash Rebirth story.
Okay.
Like right after. But yes, he came back in Final Crisis.
Okay. So now that we've talked about all that, and it has absolutely no relation to the TV show we just watched. This is the first bit of this I've seen, and you decide, you know what? Let's jump you straight into the middle of season 5 of a TV show you've watched one episode of.
Yeah, you're straight into season 5 of Supergirl.
And hoo boy, we in it.
I had to explain who everyone was.
You did.
All the
I don't remember half of them.
I mean, what questions do you have, Sean, that I may be able to answer? And, then we can talk about what I'm hoping comes out of this
Mostly
event.
Minor technical things, like why
sparks were going off
and
you
off
thought
without anything really.
My guess was when the tower on the outside was being destroyed and it was sparks were coming out at the base of it.
Right.
That would be my guess.
I do not know. There's something happening at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. It starts out with I just watched this and I've forgotten almost all of it. How does this start out, Jared?
So you get a brief history of the multiverse.
Okay.
And you also then have it start flashing to Earths as they are being wiped out. We get to Earth 89, which is
Batman
89,
and you see Nox sitting on the bench.
Yep.
Is he supposed to be Nox?
Yeah, that's Nox.
It is Nox. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's the same actor who portrayed Nox in Batman 89.
That was on purpose.
I know it was on purpose. It's really hard for it to not be on purpose.
Then you're flashed to Earth 66 with Burt Ward,
who is not looking good in old age.
Oh, no, he is not.
I know he's up there. He's up there.
And then we hit Earth.
It was still nice to see Burt Ward again.
And drop a holy skies of death, red skies of death. You got an homage.
You got a little one. It didn't really add anything, but it was nice to see Burt Ward again.
Well, it also goes to, on this particular Earth, it very subtly, you still pick up the styles that are different. Like this Earth it's present day, but everything still looks like the 60s.
Right.
And then you're hit with Earth 6, where the Titans from the streaming show are.
Okay.
And then I believe it flashes back to Earth 38 and then Earth 1, where your main heroes take place on. Earth 38 is where Supergirl takes place. Earth 1 is The Flash and Arrow and a couple other shows.
Right.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay. So that's where we open, and my first big gripe happens in, why is Supergirl in a blue amorphous blob costume? Now, this is something I'm going to say right now. I don't like it in Superman either, where he's just got the blue unitard-looking thing going on. It looks bad. Okay, I know everybody wants to be, oh, he's running around with red underwear on the outside of his pants. He looks dumb. Yeah, you're saying this about a man who fucking flies and shoots laser beams out of his eyes. I don't think it's that much of a fucking stretch that we can suspend imagination and say, I know why they got rid of it, because everybody said it looked fucking dumb and it would fit around her butt and it would look sexist. But here's the thing. That breaks up the color scheme. So it looks better.
This year was the year she got pants. Otherwise, for the last 4 seasons, she had the skirt and the red boots on.
I'm sorry, just hearing you say it like that is like, this is the year women got pants.
Supergirl got pants on her costume this year because the CW decided to redesign it after 4 years.
Okay. But yeah, I've always had a problem with the blue jumpsuit looking design. I've never thought that looked good. And yeah, seeing it on the big screen, or well, the small screen, on like almost soap opera style lighting procedures, it really does not look good. But that's just kind of a motif, a running theme I'm going to have with a lot of these costumes.
Well, I mean, it's the same with like the Man of Steel costume.
And yeah, I don't like it there either.
I think Tyler Hoechlin's suit looks okay. Tyler Hoechlin is who portrays Superman and Supergirl.
Right.
I think his suit looks okay because he still has the red belt, but it's not.
It's not big enough. You need to have a broad spectrum of color to break it up.
I'm excited to see Brandon Routh's version of the suit.
It's going to look like the Kingdom Come suit.
Well, you do get the underwear, the red underwear, and it's a lighter blue than this.
Hopefully that will be done to distinguish Superman easier.
Yeah.
So we get all of that. We get introduced to, you said Brainiac 5, who just looks like a regular guy, so that they don't have to put him in makeup every single episode.
Yeah. Brainiac 5 was introduced in season 3 of Supergirl. You just didn't know who all these characters was.
I did. But that's because you jumped me into season 5 when I only seen one episode of season 1.
They keep he uses basically a cloaking thing to look like a human to keep kind of everything else so they don't have to put the actor in constant Brainiac 5 makeup, because his whole body is white and then he has white hair and the little things on his head. So
because God forbid we have interesting looking characters going on besides, just random gay people.
Yeah, I mean, he at points you see him.
Now, don't get me wrong. Before
I
anybody starts harping on, I understand how TV budgets work.
Well,
I understand
also,
you had to do that.
We've had Martian Manhunter, and I guess you didn't know that's who it was.
I didn't for like almost half the program until somebody actually addressed him as Jean. And I was like, oh, wait, that's supposed to be the Martian Manhunter.
He's transformed in his human state as well.
Yeah, despite the fact that everybody knows he's the Martian Manhunter, or he's from Mars. So there's not really a reason to hide that.
Yeah, season 1, he hid who he was. Season 2, he pretty much everyone's.
I just like looking like this. That's all. So we have all our cast of characters rounded up. This woman
by Harbinger.
Very
true to the comics.
Yes, who goes around collecting people from all the various.
So you might not know this, but all the characters know her.
I did not.
Because until now, she was John Diggle's wife in Arrow.
Oh, okay.
She runs Argus after Amanda Waller is killed in Arrow.
Okay.
So they all know her, but at a point in time, she started working with the Monitor, like in the comics, and then she got turned into Harbinger.
Okay. So that's all fine. That's all good. This was my first time getting to see the Batwoman costume.
Ruby Rose.
Yes. And oh boy, is that editing like it happens in the show? Because that is that is like taking 3 levels of Liam Neeson jumping a fence editing for a single fight scene.
So, with this being an episode of Supergirl,
yep.
How this was shot is they kind of shot all these characters, like they would shoot an episode of that show. So, because I watched a backstage thing on this.
So it's Supergirl's fault that Batwoman jumped on top of a truck with 5 armed dudes and then shouted at them, "Where's my prey?" And then they all started firing at her and somehow missed, despite being like 15 feet away.
Well, the suit's bulletproof and
bulletproof only gets you so far. Which, full disclosure, I have not watched Batwoman. I've not heard good things.
It's not terrible.
That's the highest praise I've ever heard of that show. A lot of people are really on the fence on the side that like Ruby Rose is kind of insufferable in the character. Nobody really has a good solid.
So the problem with Batwoman,
oh boy,
is
it's that she's a woman. We know that's where you're going, Jared.
No, it's not. The problem with Batwoman is she exists in a post-Batman Gotham, and it's because these shows, for some reason, Batman is the one untouchable character for DC and Warner Brothers. For some reason, these shows suffer the problem. Like 8 years ago, they could hardly use anybody when Arrow just got started.
Right.
And it's kind of loosened up more as we've gone on. But like Arrow, as soon as Suicide Squad was a thing, they had to pull out all the characters that were going to be in the movie. Mm-hmm. They couldn't use anymore, like Captain Boomerang, Deathstroke. They pulled these characters out of the show.
Okay.
And now, obviously, because movies have flopped and things like that, contract obligations. But for some reason, Batman is still the one untouchable. Even in the Gotham show, you could not use Batman in Gotham. You had Kid Bruce Wayne, and it's even with shows like Titans. There is a Bruce Wayne, but when they did an episode where Dick had to go to Gotham to face Batman, you did not get to see a Batsuit. Like, you saw flashes of Batman. You do not get to see Batman.
Now, was that before or after we got the "fuck Batman" line? And then Robin steps on a dude's neck.
That's episode 1 of Titans. So
okay,
yes,
so long before.
That's after.
Okay.
Long after. When yeah. So, but they even have an actor cast as Bruce Wayne, and you get to see Bruce Wayne, but you do not get to see Batman.
Okay.
And for a while, it was like, that's the problem with Batwoman, is you have a character who in the comics is heavily relies on Batman for story.
Yes.
She has had a few independent things, but she is mostly tied in with the Bat family.
Yes. Well, that was kind of my big problem when they introduced the idea that it was going to be Cassandra Cain, because I like Cassandra Cain as a character. She's very deep and nuanced with some of her writings.
In this, she is Bruce Wayne's cousin.
That just seems unnecessary.
Well, that's how the show sets it up. But she is living in a post-Batman Gotham where Batman has been gone for 3 years, roughly. He just kind of disappeared.
Well, we know he's in the French Riviera with Selena. We absolutely know this. As a fact, it is not an Inception-style dream event that Alfred had in his dying moments when he decided to throw himself off.
Alfred is not in the show. Lucius Fox is dead.
Okay.
It is confirmed his son is on the show, who in the comics is Batwing. Probably not going to happen on the show.
Okay.
You see Alfred's daughter on the show for a little bit.
Is she played by Alicia Silverstone? I think
no, that was his niece in Batman 97. Unfortunately,
AKA Batman Return. No, Forever?
Batman and Robin.
Was it Robin?
Batman and Robin
Batman
was where,
Robin.
Unfortunately, that is my first, as a child, that was the first Batman movie I could comprehend. I went back and watched the other ones later and had seen them when I was younger, but it was like, oh, I'm a little kid.
So
Batman.
What I'm hearing is you got exposed to the greatest crime duo ever of Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones.
That was Batman Forever, not Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin was Poison Ivy.
Oh, that's
Mr.
right. It was
Freeze
Uma Thurman and Arnold
Bat
Schwarzenegger. So
nipples.
you saw the best Mr. Freeze ever then, yes?
I vaguely remembered Batman Forever because I did see it in
They all run
theaters,
together with me
but
in
I
my
kind
memory.
of could not. as a child, like Batman Forever, the storyline stuff, I was like, oh, cool, Robin. Oh, cool, this, that. Like, I was a kid.
Right.
And when Batman and Robin came around, I finally was able to start realizing good movies from bad movies. Because as a little kid, you're just like, Batman, it's awesome.
Yes.
And that's, and you know, like complex, little bit, I say complex, more complex movies like Batman 89. As a little kid,
I was about to say Batman 89 is not that
I
fucking
could not
complex.
follow that story, and I fell asleep through part of it because it's not Batman in the suit. And that's all I cared about as a little kid. So,
well, you got Batman in the suit in Batman and Robin.
But
boy, did you get Batman in that suit.
But that is the biggest problem with Batwoman, is it is and just the restrictions on what they can use.
Right.
It's like, for some reason, everything now, even more, is game except Batman, which makes no sense.
Well, right up until episode 2 or 3 happens, when we get introduced to Kevin Conroy Batman.
I think he will appear in part 2. We'll see.
We will see. But getting back to part 1, we are introduced to all our cast of characters who are snatched out of time and space by Harbinger and brought to Earth, whatever,
38,
to help aid in the antimatter wave that is sweeping through the solar system.
Yes. So in episode 1 of Arrow, you see what the whole shows have kind of set up. You see what this thing can do as it wipes out Earth 2 altogether. Earth 2 is already gone.
Okay, so that's what Oliver Queen was talking about later in the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so you find out that Argo City, where Clark Kent and Lois Lane are staying with their baby under a red sun, which I'm really not caught up on all my physics, but I'm pretty sure the radiation emitted by a red sun would not exactly be good for normal everyday humans. I'm kind of perplexed as to why Lois Lane isn't just kind of microwave from the inside and like her eyeballs boil out. Pleasant image, I know. But
I mean, there's always stories of humans going to Krypton before its destruction, and they just don't explain it.
Yeah, there's also the story about how Supergirl's section of Krypton was saved by rolling out lead sheeting across the small portion of the planet that flew away.
They explain Argo City in season 4 of Supergirl.
Does it involve the lead sheeting?
No.
Oh, damn, because that was...
Actually... Yeah, it's season 3.
That was easily one of my favorite Silver Age stories. But we gather everybody up, and they have to defend the massive tuning fork buildings that the Monitor... The what?
The towers.
The towers. They have to defend the towers that the Monitor sets up to make sure that Earth is not destroyed, and then... we find out that Superman and Lois Lane didn't die when Argo City was destroyed after launching their baby out into space.
So that moment where they launched Jonathan into space was kind of to pay homage to two things. You have Alexander Luthor in the comics, and also... Which
is what I thought we were going to get, but then they just go to the future and retrieve him, and he's still a baby.
The dialect they speak in there is also Marlon Brando and... I don't remember the actress that played Superman's mom. It's the same lines from Superman 1.
Oh, well, I remember that. No, that was actually a fun little homage. I was like, okay, I get it. I see what's going on there. It's better than the Knox and Burt Ward, more subtle than the Knox and Burt Ward add-ins.
At this point, I think it's just a rite of passage. At some point in Kryptonians, if they have children, they just got to put them in a pod and send them to Earth.
That's gonna be their new birth tradition.
When Supergirl has a kid, she's gonna have to go to another planet and do the same thing.
She's gonna have to explain to her husband. She's like, "Look, I don't get it either. We put the kid in there, shoot it off into space. We'll go get him in a month. Don't worry about it."
Something like that.
It's just our way of doing things. Respect my heritage, goddamn you.
We have to go find a dying planet.
Yes. We have to almost die on a dying planet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows? We'll see. Either way, I'm going to shove this kid in here that I just pushed out of my vagina with my cape. And
it is the way.
Hope for the best. Later, kid.
This is the way.
Yeah,
as the Mandalorians
as
say.
the Mandalorians do say, this is the way. So we get to the fight. The shadow demons all swarm the tower.
Yep.
Sparks explode on things with no actual visual cue of it being hit, which kind of threw me for a loop. Because, like, as far as I
Sean's
know...
like, they're missing effects here.
I thought there were missing effects, because as far as I know, concrete doesn't spark. At least not when it's just sitting in open air. So, like, if there were things being shot at them, that's not portrayed.
I mean, you also can... The biggest unnecessary thing they do, and in the shows you don't realize it because it's like one person doing it.
Yep.
When there are 3 to 4 people doing just flips for no reason.
Everybody's leaping around and it's like, why are you jumping? Nobody's near you.
Between Green Arrow, Batwoman, and Mia, there's just so many like slides and spins, and it's like, what is the point of this?
It all just looks silly.
But you also had a big moment for Mia in this episode, which daughter of Green Arrow.
Right.
So she is from the future, which you don't know that.
Okie dokie.
So
I'm just rolling with the punches at this point.
Arrow in the last 2 seasons has been running a future storyline where you jump ahead to see the children of the Green Arrow, Mia, his son William, John Diggle Jr. is part of it, and Connor Hawke.
Okay.
And Wild Dog's daughter are all involved in this. And in the middle of this season, the Monitor pulls him back in time.
Okay.
To give Oliver like a last minute with his kids.
Well, according to what I was told, he was brought back to sacrifice himself in place of Barry Allen.
So this happened during Elseworlds last year, the crossover last year.
Okay.
In Elseworlds, John Deegan got the Book of Destiny, turned himself into Superman, and they were living in an altered reality, and they were trying to find ways to slow down time. So Barry and Kara were running around the Earth at the same speed, but in opposite directions, basically to pause time. Kind of like your Superman moment in the movie where he flew back the world
I'm
backward.
going to assume it made just as much sense there as it did in that movie.
So they were supposed to die right then and there. You see them start lighting up and about to fall apart. Oliver goes and makes a deal with the Monitor, let them live, so because they're the best of all of us, and I will gladly die because I am a regular person. They are better heroes than I am.
To which the Monitor immediately looked at him and said, that's not a very good deal, Green Arrow. Get the fuck off my space station.
Well, no.
How'd you get here anyway?
He let them live, and Oliver was to die at a later time. And that time was now. Apparently, though, the Monitor said that's not what he was supposed to die. So I see Green Arrow definitely coming back in some way, shape, or form.
Probably.
At this point. But
the Monitor has script reading powers.
But
just looks down. No, he's not supposed to die this way. I've got the script for the next Arrow season right here.
No, actually, that's why Mia is in this, and she finally got her suit. She is getting a spin-off show where she is going to be Green Arrow. That's going to take place in 2040, called Green Arrow and the Canaries.
Okay. We'll have to maybe see about what that is. I don't know.
But then you have the end where Oliver dies.
Done, dead.
Where he is saving, but his suit has no damage.
This is something I pointed out to you. People out there in TV land, I know that costumes are expensive, but if you're going to have somebody die when they're in a big fight, either have an extra suit for battle damage.
So,
because when you just got your lead hero's face all mussed up, which I'll grant you, it looked pretty bad, but when everything else looks pristine, it really doesn't say this person just entered into a life or death conflict that really, really fucked him up. It says, yeah, he missed what he was diving at and just hit his face on the concrete.
The shows don't do that a lot, unfortunately. Like, you have...
Again, I understand...
You have Barry's suit...
Budgetary reasons.
You have Barry's suit
They probably got
messed
one,
up.
maybe two of them.
Yeah. In all the shows though, like in The Flash, you have Barry's suit get messed up.
Yes.
When they're about to give him another suit. You have Oliver. Oliver just switches suits for some reason in all of the seasons. Like, there's the season 3 suit that when he transitioned from Arrow to the actual Green Arrow, but then a season later they add sleeves to it. And we got to also see that suit on Earth 16, Oliver, as he is an old man and he found Superman's baby on his Earth, because the pod not only went through space, but it traveled through
which is
a black hole and went to different.
And that was where I thought we were going to get the Alexander Luthor thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to get some interesting stuff from the comic, and then that never happened.
It would be cooler to see an older, but Jonathan Kent is such a new character.
Who cares?
But I mean, in the comics, he immediately aged up because
exactly
the storyline needed him to, but he was stuck on a prison for 10 years.
I want to say I'm not saying that who cares dismissively. I'm saying that who cares because of exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to the writers. Why should it matter to the audience?
Yeah, they pull new characters they use blood work this season in The Flash. He's like
okay.
3 years old. And Jonathan Kent is probably 5 years old for Comic Rise, but he's already been through an arc where he's a little kid and then he got trapped in a prison on a parallel Earth with Jor-El, and years pass for him, but like a day passed for Superman, and he finally gets back and he's a teenager.
Doki doki.
And they use that to kickline him in his own Legion of Superheroes comic, where he now goes to the future and hangs out with the Legion.
All right then.
Because the Legion always needs super people for some reason.
Yes.
Their comics can't survive without them.
Yes. So that was Justice Society of Planet 38 Crisis on Infinite Earths episode 1.
That was the Supergirl episode. And ultimately Earth 38 is obliterated, but roughly half the population is saved because Lena Luthor built a transmatter portal.
Oh, God. We didn't even talk about Lena Luthor. I didn't know that was a thing until this show.
So Lena Luthor is the sister of Lex Luthor. She was a friend to Supergirl until last season. Lex revealed that your friend has been lying to you and she's Supergirl all along, right before she kills Lex Luthor. And then the Monitor comes and he immediately brings Lex Luthor back to life. And no one has a clue that Lex Luthor is just chilling, waiting to pop up in episode 2 of this. Like, no one on Earth 38 has a clue. You get to see him at the end of one of the episodes in Supergirl. But yeah, last season, Lena kills him and finally takes her turn to the dark side. And then the Monitor...
The transformation is complete.
Pretty much. And then the Monitor comes in. He's like, you're needed for what's coming, and brings him back to life and then teleports him away to hang out with him for a half a year.
Bring back Oliver Queen.
I guess. I mean... The one things I never got with like the Crisis and stuff like the Flash can travel through time.
Yeah, it didn't work well, but he can.
How you not just gonna run back a day and save your homie right before he dies? It's like as these things are about to punch him. Okay, Oliver, we gotta go, man. Like, does time travel work on a destroyed Earth? Can you do that?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
I don't know. I don't know how time travel rules work.
Nobody knows how time travel rules work because there are no rules for time travel.
Because also earlier this season in The Flash, he tried to travel in time to after the Crisis to see, but the antimatter wave stopped him.
Uh-oh.
And he got really hurt and thrown back. And then they did this.
I bet his costume looked magnificent, though.
They did this thing where they sent his mind forward in time, which on Earth 3, which didn't make a lot of sense, but okay.
Okay. Whatever.
Time travel.
Time travel indeed.
Well, and then Pariah shows up at the end where... Tom Cavanaugh, needs a paycheck.
Yeah, I guess so.
For some reason, this season on The Flash, he was this character called Nash Wells. And at the end of the last episode, you see him punching some things and he gets taken in a globe of light. And apparently you find out he freed the Anti-Monitor, and it just doesn't make sense, but I'm assuming they'll explain it. And he becomes Pariah.
Well, fingers crossed there.
Which Pariah is the guy who is forced to travel and watch the Earths die in Crisis.
Here's hoping that comes to some semblance of sense. I don't know if it
I
will.
mean, they have 4 more hours of television to explain all this.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Television was a mistake, Jared.
Hey, man.
It was all a mistake.
So I watch these shows and actually keep up, which you do not.
I do not. I unfortunately
enjoy
have way too much shit going on in my life.
I enjoy most of them. Legends is fantastic. Legends of Tomorrow.
I'm glad one of them's working out well.
Legends is fantastic. It's a fun time travel show.
Yay, that's good. I might look into that then if I can ever find a decent enough copy of it.
It's on Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah, all of them are on Netflix.
Oh, I'll have to look into that then.
But so far the best crossover that's been done with all these was Crisis on Earth X, which was fantastic. I'm hoping this gets better. And I mean, next episode is definitely the fan service episode with Brandon Routh coming back. And they're finally going to explain how Black Lightning fits into all this. But because as of now, he's just been his own show, which I'm assuming takes place on another Earth. And it's definitely the weakest of all the shows.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to fill the weakest slot.
So
it's just a matter of probability. It
I'm
just
not
sucks that it's Black Lightning.
I like Black Lightning as a character. The show's just, it's bearable.
Yeah.
At most.
No, I watched the first episode. We watched the first episode for your channel, didn't we? Didn't we?
I think we did a trailer reaction. I don't think we watched the first episode.
Yes. I watched the first episode. I know that. It was okay at best.
Black Lightning, it's Jefferson Pierce is a tough character to tackle in general.
Yes.
And the way they're trying to put the story is just blah. That's all I can really.
That'll happen sometimes. But that is all we have to say for
Crisis
on Infinite Earths.
Now we have trailers to get through.
Yes. If we had a sponsor, this would be where I say, now, a quick word from my sponsor. But I don't. So now a quick word from me. Everybody, I want to say thank you for sticking around, for those of you who have. We just kind of do this as like a hobby. And even at that, YouTube has been more than a little frustrating to try and work in. You laugh, man, but I've been keeping up with the behind the scenes drama, trying to understand the inner workings of how the algorithm works, trying to understand that. And
I mean, I did do this for time, but I haven't made a video in like a year and a half.
Yeah, and
because of frustration.
Yeah. Well, yours, I think, was more personal frustration.
I did have a lot of personal stuff go on, but also, I don't have a shooting space.
Yes.
Besides hanging out with you, I don't really have that much time because I have a child on the way. I don't have shooting space. I don't have what I used to.
It can be daunting. And so I want to say an absolute heartfelt thank you for those of you who are sticking around. And if you know somebody who enjoys stuff like this, maybe share it around with them. They might like it as well. But that's the word from our sponsor. No more sentimental bullcrap. Let's talk about Wonder Woman 84, where they play a song from 1986.
Oh boy.
Nothing says we know exactly what time we're shooting in than playing a song that came out 2 years later.
So I remember when we did the original trailer reaction for Wonder Woman way back on my channel.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, we were tentatively hopeful because it did look good.
But we expressed concerns and the internet tore us apart for it. Besides a few people who understand, we were just voicing concerns. We did not think it was going to be a bad movie.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed Wonder Woman when it came out. I hope that came through in our review of it.
Yeah, our review came through, and we both enjoyed
I enjoy
Wonder Woman.
about 97% of it.
Yeah.
That final 3% is just that ending fight scene with Ares that
Yeah,
makes zero sense. But
all
outside
in
of that,
all,
wonderful movie.
all in all, Wonder Woman is in my top 3 of DC movies. For
Boy, that is not a hard branch to
their
punch into.
for their new setup.
That is an even less hard branch to punch
Well,
into.
number 1 is Shazam. Number
Yeah.
2 is Wonder Woman. Number 3 is Aquaman.
Yeah, that's I think everybody's list of the big 3 because those are the only ones that are watchable.
Well, at number 4, you'd have like Justice League, 5, Man of Steel, and then Suicide Squad, Batman verse.
Those don't even actually have numbers. They're just sitting in a garbage pile, rotting somewhere.
Pretty much.
Pile of flies.
But that's
For
my list.
Wonder Woman 84, I'm tentatively interested in what they're going to do. I thought Wonder Woman number 1 was a fairly self-contained story, and it set up fairly well that they said she was laying low for the remaining 100 plus years nearly.
Well, like 80 or something, but
80,
yeah.
90 years or whatever.
I have concerns.
You have concerns.
My biggest concern is the character who had the second best movie so far. In her sequel, we're dealing with something we did not need to exist in this movie universe, and that is time travel.
I'm sorry?
Steve Trevor is alive.
Yeah, I that is a big thing in that. Why do you say time travel? Because I have not read anything about this. So if you know something, dish now. Because time travel is my favorite way to break a movie.
Well, obviously, it is Steve Trevor.
Yes.
And you see her explaining stuff to him. So somehow he has been plucked out of death.
Theoretically.
And pulled to the 80s.
I have a theory. Because we see the Kristen Wiig, who's going to be the person who becomes Cheetah.
Okay.
And she is in a science lab full of science stuff. And I think what might happen is Steve Trevor has been cloned and given his memories thanks to science.
That very well could actually be, and he's like a Trojan horse.
Yeah, basically, and
I can understand that. That's also, I mean, you're fucking with one of the two. You're either fucking with time travel or you're fucking with cloning. Either or.
I just want to be able to say science is the reason magic dies. And that's why Wonder Woman hates Cyborg, I guess, in the future. She doesn't, but that's my guess, is somebody's going to be doing some crazy genetics while Wonder Woman fights the Soviets.
Oh boy.
What?
So my phone was listening to us talk about Wonder Woman.
Oh God.
Wonder Woman 3 and the Amazon spinoffs are all mapped out, says Patty Jenkins.
Well,
that literally just popped up on my phone as we were sitting here.
All power to Miss Jenkins. She's proven herself to be a very competent director, but I really think that's putting the cart before the horse, but whatever. That's her prerogative, and Warner Brothers. But as far as that goes, Wonder Woman 2 looks interesting. This kind of relates back to what we were saying earlier about the costumes looking a little weird. I made mention that Batwoman's while we were watching it, it makes her face look big.
Yeah.
But when she removes the helmet, she looks normal. Everything looks fine there. But when she has the mask on, something looks off in the facial region.
Okay.
And the costume really does not look as good as it does on paper in real life. And there's a shot in the Wonder Woman trailer where she has the Metal Eagle armor on from Kingdom Come.
Yes.
And it does not look as good in real life as it does on paper. And I'm worried that's going to be the new thing.
You suffer that a lot, though. I mean, it's like the red tights on Superman don't look that great on
really?
the screen.
Because you go back and watch Superman 1 and 2 and tell me that doesn't look good.
Okay, I'm meaning like
Dean
Cain's Superman costume.
It all depends on how it's shot.
This is also
and how it's lit. And I could be wrong. They could have reshoots. Things could go different, and this will look entirely different. I don't think it will, because that looks like the armor you put on to fight the end boss. of your movie.
That's exactly what that is.
It looks very much like it.
Guaranteed what that is.
Looks very much like it.
It's her power up, or she'll be dealing with gods again because
possibly because she has seen riding lightning, quite literally.
Why would you need that armor to deal with a normal person?
Because it looks cool. Because people can look at that and go, "I remember that from the book."
You can.
That doesn't relate to this at all.
Well, I mean, we're getting enough Kingdom Come stuff in. Well, back to Crisis. We're getting, because you were going to have old man Bruce Wayne and his exo suit thing from Kingdom Come, and you're also getting Brandon Routh in the Kingdom Come suit.
Yeah, which we'll have talks on that on episode 2.
Yeah.
But episode Wonder Woman 84.
I'm still hopeful because
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful.
Gal Gadot's a great actress.
She's good. She's good. I've seen her in a lot of good stuff. I've seen her in a couple of things, but I've never seen her in a role where
best thing
I
about
was like,
that fucking Justice League.
She was absolutely the best thing about Justice League. Then again, she was also the best thing about Batman v Superman, despite the fact that her role was like 5 minutes tops.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, but that's. I hope Wonder Woman 2 comes good. That's what I got to say about that.
Yep.
Outside of that, we finally got a look at the Mulan trailer that Disney has been teasing us with forever.
Oh my.
Oh, are we gonna have a difference of opinion on this?
So
okay, let me state this first. I think this will be the most radically different Disney movie that they've come out with.
I agree
of their
with
live
that.
actions, and I think that's for the best.
So
I'm very sorry, everyone. I know the chairs are squeaky. I haven't gotten WD-40 for it yet.
I agree with you on that point, but here is where I have a problem.
Oh boy.
So
what does the white man have to say about Chinese heritage movies? Please tell us.
That's not. Shut up, Sean. So my problem with this is that they said, yes, we are doing Mulan. We are doing a different story. And at first, everyone thought that meant, because the first trailer, like teaser they gave us, you definitely thought that meant they were going to take a more realistic take on it. They're leaving out Mushu. They're leaving out the love story, which I have no problems with.
Right. No, all that perfectly fine.
But then you go in the second trailer and you definitely have as much magic and stuff that was in the cartoon Mulan, except now your villain is a magic witch and Phoenix. You have phoenixes instead of dragons.
Well, yeah, I mean, ancient China had magic, so, ancient magic China.
What's the point in using a phoenix, which is not something that's very usually connected to Chinese mythology, instead of a dragon? Or, I mean, you could have even had a foo dog instead of a phoenix. Like, it bothers to a point.
I have no idea how the phoenix relates to Chinese mythology, so I am going to reserve judgment on that.
You don't hear about them a lot. It may not be a phoenix, though, so I could be wrong on that.
It could be. You could just be exercising your white privilege to tell Chinese people how their heritage should run.
I have no white privilege. Thank you very much.
You don't have privilege at all, do you?
I'm poor.
That doesn't mean you don't have privilege, dick.
We're from the South. We're looked as very generic people immediately.
We are not having this conversation right now. I'm putting the kibosh on this right fucking now. I might bleep this entire section.
I was asked why I didn't have an accent the other day on a phone call.
People do that to me all the time.
Exactly.
But we're not setting foot in that domain.
Nope.
Going back to Mulan.
I mean,
I'm not having a racial debate with you right now, Jerry.
I think it'll definitely be better than the other Disney live action stuff that are copy and paste of their predecessors, like The Lion King, and they were copy and paste minus like 2 or 3 tweaks. But
yes, this looks like it shows the most promise as standing on its own as a movie, rather than just saying, I remember this other movie.
Well, Alice in Wonderland wasn't terrible. The second one was not good, but the first one was not terrible.
Sorry, you just kind of broke my brain there for a second. We'll just have to see on that, because, like I say, I'm This is another one I'm tentatively hopeful. We got Meng-Na Wen back on the big screen.
So good. She is a delight.
She is, honestly.
She is a delight in anything I watch her in.
It is always nice to see her.
She is definitely the best thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
She was the best part of Street Fighter, the movie, as Chun-Li.
I say no to you, sir. That belongs to Zangief and his Change the Channel line. That is the best part about that movie. Besides Raul Julia,
I was about to say
gone
Raul
too soon, and that man is a genuine American treasure.
You are correct there, but she's
a very close second.
Yes,
very close second.
But
best
yeah,
Chun-Li. Then again, the best live action Chun-Li we have. Then again, the only other runner-up is Jackie Chan in City Hunter movie, where he got blasted by electricity. And
you were incorrect, sir.
Was it not City Hunter?
No, well, not for that. Do you not remember the epic masterpiece that was Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, starring Kristen Kirk?
I do. That's why I'm talking about the Jackie Chan movie where he got transformed into Chun-Li and somebody else got transformed into Balrog. If you know what the hell I'm talking about, please leave it in the comments. I'll send you some karma. I don't have anything to send people, but no, Mulan looks interesting. I'm tentatively hopeful that this will actually be a decent movie.
Hopefully.
I
loved Mushu. I just don't see why not use Mushu?
Because Eddie Murphy's washed up and hates everything.
It didn't have to be Eddie Murphy.
People would riot if it wasn't.
I mean,
then again, he did make My Name is Dolomite, and that movie is fucking great. Pardon me, Dolomite is my name. Because it's part of his catchphrase. Dolomite is my name, and fucking up motherfuckers is my game. Those are some great movies. If you've never watched a Rudy Ray Moore movie, treat yourself. They are fantastic.
All right, so that pretty much Mulan's out of the way. You want to do Ghostbusters or
let's go ahead and talk about James Bond real quick because we can do this super fast. There's a new James Bond movie coming out.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. I've got nothing else.
I don't care. I stopped caring about James Bond.
You don't want Rami Malek, who has all the teeth in the world, as Blofeld?
I stopped following James Bond a long time ago. James Bond was just one of those characters I never really cared about. I've seen a few James Bond movies. I don't care.
There are varying levels of quality for James Bond.
Yes, there are.
And I think this, well, you never know because James Bond kind of operates, with the Star Trek rule where like every other one sucks. And we just had the sucky one with Spectre. Well, so this one might prove good.
Well, it's also the rules and everything you need to know about James Bond constantly change. He does not have a definitive history, and
Well, I've always kind of liked that as a method of them saying is like, you're never going to have the full story of who this person is. He will always be an enigmatic mystery.
Yeah, it's just I haven't kept up with all the Daniel Craig movies to know or care who a lot of these characters that are going to show up are.
Well, they've only been two.
Daniel Craig's had like 4 movies.
2, 5, whatever. It definitely looks like they're getting back to like the Casino Royale punchy James Bond rather than him like adapting with his age and like the character's age and saying he's learned different ways of taking things on. It's very much more of the punch and hit things until they stop.
Yeah, it's just James Bond isn't my cup of tea. That's all I really have to say about that, unfortunately.
He's not everybody's, but that's about all we got for that. The trailer really didn't give much, but new James Bond.
New James Bond.
People will enjoy, people will not enjoy, and that's all. But we do have a new Ghostbusters trailer with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
The movie that pissed off the female cast of the horrible remake.
Yeah, Like
Literally, one of them went on the internet and said, "This is some Donald Trump bullshit."
it's about a bunch of kids.
Well, I don't know how she blamed Donald Trump on her movie being terrible.
I don't either.
That man is he's to blame for a lot, but your shitty movie was not one of them.
No, you can blame Paul Feig for that shitty movie.
You can blame bad acting on that shitty. The best thing about that movie was Chris Hemsworth playing retarded, and you know it.
I disagree. The lady who played Patty was not as awful. Like, judging from the trailers, like, everything she was shouty and loud, and I was like, this is gonna be awful. And that's like maybe 2 scenes for her, and the rest of it, she's a pretty normal person. And by far, she was the least, I hesitate to say the least offensive character in that movie, because nobody's really offensive. They're all just really bland and forgettable. She was the least forgettable. And she is the one who has the only actual funny scene in that entire fucking movie.
Yeah, the rest they tried to force jokes, and it was just a bad movie.
Are you saying queef jokes don't appeal to a mass audience?
No.
Because the dudes that were sitting behind me watching it were laughing their asses off.
Those dudes were retarded. We were in the same showing.
Anyway, apparently this is going to tie in with the original Ghostbusters.
Yes, one of them is the grandchild of a Ghostbuster.
I'm going to say it's probably Egon Spengler, because his is the first jumpsuit you see when the girl's moving him around, and she kind of has the same framed glasses.
Yeah.
Is probably going to be the nerdy quiet one. It's pretty evident that it's going to be Egon's grandchild.
Well, you also have the kid from Stranger Things in this.
Finn Wolfhard's in it, yes.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's in it, yes.
And this one definitely looks like it's going to be better.
I hesitate to use the word better because this doesn't really show you anything about what's happening, which I kind of like, but at the same time, it'd be nice to see. You're very obviously trying to fit this in with Ghostbusters 1 at the very least. I don't know about 2. The less said about it, the better. But
it's definitely, it is set in I think it's set in normal time, like 30 years after the original Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Ghosts have not been seen in 30 years. There hasn't been a sighting. And
which if
all of a sudden things start happening.
Yes, which if you'll just take a moment, I believe we said that would be an interesting idea in our review of the Ghostbusters 2016 movie.
I think so. Go back to my channel and watch all that.
Yeah, another shameless plug. It might not be. I don't fucking know. It's been 4 years nearly since we did that. I don't remember any of it.
Well,
I remember not liking the movie. That's what I remember. Then again, that's most of America, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks like it's going to be interesting. I kind of like the idea of it being kids who are discovering this rather than adults. So you get a little, some of that slapstick learning curve works better.
It's going to be interesting. I think, Paul Rudd will end up being their mentor-ish kind of thing. We'll at some point get a cameo, probably from one of the originals.
Well, you've only got 2 that were big, and then you have Ernie Hudson, which I don't know how good a terms Ernie Hudson's on with Sony right now, so who knows?
He made a cameo in the last one.
He did, but so did everybody in that movie.
Pretty much. We'll see.
We'll see. But it looks tentatively interesting. We'll have to just wait and see when we know more about when it comes out, closer to Showtimes. I'm happy we're getting more Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's always good to have more Ghostbusters.
I'm afraid of no ghosts.
Exactly. Even if we have some bad movies, it's okay because you know what? Ghostbusters 2 was pretty fucking bad.
Wasn't as bad as the remake.
I might disagree with you depending on what day it is. Because Ghostbusters 2 is...
I've seen Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2 is kind of fucking bad. Let's not kid ourselves. We can say that Ghostbusters 2016 was like a death knell for a movie franchise. It is not as bad as a Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 is... Everybody's there for a paycheck. And that's like the reason. I don't care. Don't at me on... You know what? Actually, at me on this. I will fight you over Ghostbusters 2 if you try to tell me that movie's good. It is not.
I'd have to go back and watch it, which is not something I want to put myself through.
You really shouldn't. But that's our show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
We forgot one.
Did we forget one?
Black Widow.
Oh my God, that's right. Black Widow. The only reason I wanted to mention Black Widow, because it's going to be serviceable as all the Marvel movies are.
Well, it's a prequel that's set up after...
It's being used to set up the fact that there's another Black Widow in the movie, I'm sure, because you get the blonde woman in there, and that's going to be...
Her sister.
Widow. Yeah, that's going to be other Black Widow going forward, I'm sure.
Well, you also get to see Red Guardian.
Yes, with David Harbour, who, again, is always nice to see on screen. Yep. Even when he's in a really bad Hellboy movie, it's nice to see him doing stuff. But... the only real reason I wanted to talk about this was because the guy who's directing the Metal Gear Solid movie was talking shit on Twitter about how Black Widow is stealing bits from Metal Gear Solid. There's a lot of scenes that line up very, very closely. As much of a fan of Metal Gear Solid as I am, it has zero place talking shit about people stealing things, because Metal Gear Solid is, oh my God, it's that kid that says, hey, can I copy your homework? And they say, sure, don't make it look too close. And it's just enough off that you're like,
that's movies
and
nowadays.
I love Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
It is easily in my top 5 wheelhouse game series of all time. And I do not say that lightly.
Does it need to be a movie?
I don't think so, but at the same time, it's one of those I'm interested to see
in
how
a world
they
where
adapt
when the best video game movie adaptation so far is Detective Pikachu.
That's what I'm curious about, is because these things are so fucking full of themselves.
I mean,
and again,
for a while until
Detective
Pikachu, it was Mortal Kombat, and
yes.
it was.
And I love this series. I love Metal Gear Solid to death, with the exception of the one where you're in the bizarre upside down place. That game sucked. I hate you, Konami. But outside of that, I have issues with Metal Gear Solid 5, but that's another podcast entirely.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was talking shit on Black Widow stealing bits from Metal Gear Solid, and it's just like, yeah, you
shut up.
You really don't want to make that comparison, buddy.
Just shut up.
That's all.
Who's the villain in this movie? Is it Taskmaster?
I think so.
They didn't show him, or if they did, it's definitely not comics Taskmaster.
Well, I mean,
you see a guy in like a paintball mask, and that's about it.
Nobody's really their comics counterpart.
I will disagree with you with that amazing Red Guardian suit that I had a moment to laugh, and I thought it was fantastic.
Which makes me think he's going to be there for comic relief.
Definitely. That's, even though he's technically Russia's version of Captain America.
Basically, yeah.
And then you have Black Widow in a white suit because...
I don't know.
Scarlett Johansson needed a proper send-off because her dying pretty epic way in Endgame wasn't enough.
Epic?
I mean, she sacrificed
herself. It came down to a game of rock, paper, scissors as to who decided to kill themselves faster, and she did it faster than the idiot.
But she sacrificed herself so the universe could live.
Well, another guy was willing to do so.
But his life meant more because he had a family.
Well,
and he was her best friend.
Then let's hope this next Black Widow is capable of bearing children so she doesn't become suicidal.
Nope. Not if she went through the same training program. That's all I got to say to that. Nope.
All I remember is Black Widow. No, my life is worthless. My womb is barren. Let me kill myself first. Let me taser you over near the side of a cliff while I jump.
I just wanted Hawkeye to stay in his Ronin suit for that whole movie, because I thought his Ronin suit was awesome.
Yeah, but you have to sell toys. So everybody gets at least 3 suits.
You're not wrong.
No, I am not wrong.
Because Cap went through 3 suits. Mm-hmm. Iron Man went through at least 2.
At least 2.
Thor went through
3 if you include a civilian outfit.
Yep. Thor went through 2, 3 if you include the civilian outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone except like the heroes that showed up at the end that had been dead for 5 years.
God bless capitalism. Truly, it drives our creative individuality. Well, that's all we've got for today, folks.
Disney, man, Disney.
Yeah. That's all we've got for today. Again, thank you for sticking around. If you still are, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to have to start doing that on my reviews when I start them up again, because I used to just do it in text, but I guess it works better for the algorithm if I actually say it. And that's something we're all trying to truck against. We're all trying to figure it out. But we'll get there. We'll get there with your help. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Later.
McClunky, Jared.
No.